Welcome. Wow, it got quiet all of a sudden. Thank you all for being here. This is the official New York book launch for Making Contact. Where's the book? Yeah, let me get the book. 1 second, just so we know what we're talking about here. This is the book, which is a collection of essays by some of my favorite people in the world, because there's something happening on planet Earth and beyond planet Earth that is just starting to wake people up to other possibilities. So I've been around this circuit for about 30 years, and I wanted to collect the best information I could from everyone in that field and people just starting out in this field. So I have my friends JJ and Desiree Hurtak, who's written a very excellent chapter here, Linda Moulton Howe, Whitley, Strieber, everybody's in here that I really respect, and my friend Henrietta, who just had this awakening. Well, come up, Henrietta. She inspired this book in a way because I was talking to her about UFOs, and she said, really, you think there's something to it? And then, what was your awakening that happened?
Well, it was a funny thing because I was at Alan's astrology panel, and he said, oh, but the most important thing...
Astrology prediction panel.
Astrology, yeah. And he said, just as a throwaway comment, he said, the most important thing we should be looking at is the whole UFO alien abduction phenomenon. And I went, like, what? Yeah. Why is he saying that? Yeah, and I haven't been looking at it at all. I thought it was really it just didn't call to me. I thought it was fun and science fiction, and I loved all the movies. But anyway, long story short,
what happened?
Yeah, he told me to read Chameleon by Whitley Strieber, just as a little, hello to the subject. And suffice to say, I read this book in one night, and it. No other way to put it, and it felt like, and we all know these experiences in different ways, an initiation. And it felt like I'd gone into a sort of time warp. But the main thing was that it felt like familiar to me. Wow. And I'm a big reader and a writer, and so I can imagine anything, but it felt like it was a sort of real.
Well, it woke you up to your past, your history, your.
Yeah, I think so. So since then, it's sort of been an evolution of like understanding these experiences or framing them in some sort of new context.
Right, because you told me you had these experiences that you didn't make sense of, and I said, read this book, will start to make sense.
Exactly.
And so you really had this whole awakening to this other part of yourself, you told me, and then this greater part of your creativity happened. That's what I.
Yeah. And also actually just to say on that, Alan and I spent a lot of time, talking about these things and my dreams and his dreams, and we realized that they sort of wove together in ways that weren't really coincidental.
And they're outside the framework of what we think is possible. So I had Henrietta write a chapter about this non-linear sense of reality. So she's in this book, and I think, yes.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to say that my inclusion in this book, I'm very grateful to Alan for giving me the chance to contribute, because all the other people, he curated the best minds in the field, the researchers, the investigators, the writers who spent a lifetime looking at the phenomenon. And that's not me. So he sort of threw me in there as a novice.
Well, it's okay.
No, but I'm happy to do that, because I come at it with completely green, which is ironic. A little green creature. No, but
green creatures is what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, and actually, Alan, can I say, now that you brought me up here so quickly, about this book, this incredible book. What I think is marvelous, I was really reflecting on it today, is that it's unlike, I've since looked at many books in the field, but Alan, really is the sort of, I think acts as a linchpin in this universe of this.
I connect the dots.
You connect the dots, but you connect the dots in this nifty, neat little book, which is a really wonderful read. And it has a narrative arc, the 11 essays of its own that he we did. And also, I did not know my friend Alan as a great writer myself.
Well, thank you. You know, we were going to do this little section after we did the beginning of the whole thing, but I just didn't know what to say, so I just started talking. But I did want to do a few introductions. Thanks. Come back up later. So I just want to thank Joe Carini for his beautiful, beautiful art gallery. And these are his creations, and they are for sale if you want to take them home with you. No sign up, but they're incredible here, and we have a lot of great filmmakers, people in the audience. Bill Cody's there, Mr. with the Space. But I did want to start off with my friend Raphael, just to get us in the mood of extraterrestrial, a higher dimensional understanding of reality. So this is Raphael Benedicte, and come up to me, he's a sound bowl. He always says this. Expect the tone and vibration, because we are leaving ordinary reality. Because as you open up to these other levels, it really is beyond this other dimension that we are currently in. And we'll also have a demonstration later with Ed Edwards and Lee Eintracht. They're going to do some energy work here, and a couple of people speaking about their experiences. We have Mark Brinkerhoff, we have Rose Angel Perez from Capacito Break, and who else do we have there? And Igor Galabov, and a few other people talking about their experiences. So just to set the tone for the evening, Raphael, you want to?
No.
He doesn't need
Only I need everyone because they are to enjoy the sound and the praise.
It's 7 o'clock.
It's a little interdimensional music there. So we're gathered here because I think we're at a momentous time in history where everything obviously is changing. The last 2 years has been a huge, there's no more normal, right? Have a seat. You can sit right here. How are you? Thanks for coming. And so I think it's important that we realize, as the Hurtaks say, and we'll say here, we're part of a greater cosmology. We are coming off the old paradigm of thinking, old way of acting. There's things in our skies that we don't understand. They're functioning under a physics that is not based on Newtonian. You know, our whole car systems, airplanes are functioning on laws of physics that go back to Isaac Newton 400 years. It's like they haven't upgraded the science, and we are at a new point in history where we can start to integrate the new science of quantum physics into technology. Quantum physics means that there's superpositions. You could be in more places at once. If you don't collapse the wave function into saying this is what it is, the world becomes much more abstract, much more right brain, much more intuitive, much more available to higher levels of awakening. And this is what I think these beings are calling on us to do. Get out of the old linear mechanistic way of understanding reality with our left brain that only it's the thinking part that it will only get you from A to B, as Einstein said, but the rest of your brain will get you everywhere else. So, you know, we have to realize that there's more to the human being. We are non-local. When I teach remote viewing classes, everyone in these classes start to have visions of something they think it's impossible for them to know, how to get a target outside their local awareness. So they tune into things beyond what the everyday world is showing them and us and me, because we are non-local. We are everywhere. We are part of all existence. And this is what the UFO, UAP, ET phenomena is trying to tell us. We are part of a greater cosmology, a greater reality. And my show, New Realities, have been exploring these edges of possibility, because I always knew there was something more to reality. I grew up feeling like I wasn't quite part of my family. Nice people, very nice people. But, you know, I thought, you know, there's something out there. I mean, I was looking at the stars. I wrote about this in the book. And I was telling people, what are those things? And they say, no, never mind. They're just stars. I said, no, not just stars. Those are something to wonder about. So my whole childhood was a preoccupation with other things and baseball and Cub Scouts, and I was looking at the stars, and I knew there was, I wanted to be an astronaut. I loved Star Trek, and then, you know, my mother said she didn't think it was possible for me to be an astronaut. I said, why? Because I'm Jewish. No, I said, but I love Star Trek, I love outer space, I love these adventures into the unknown, and I started to explore it with literature and consciousness and awareness, and that was the doorway to these other realities, was the expansion of consciousness. So I've been talking about this for a long time. I got this opportunity to write this book with some of the great experts in the field, besides Desiree Hurtak, Mack, who is a Harvard psychiatrist, who he died about 20 years ago, but there was an unpublished essay of his. And I said, this would be perfect for this book because it still reads like it was written yesterday. And Mack would talk to these people claiming to have experiences and abductions, and at first he thought these people must be crazy. And still he started talking to these people and said, these people are not any crazier than anyone else. And he started to validate their experiences and said that there must be a sense of reality outside our normal everyday awareness. So because of John Mack's work and other people, Whitley Strieber's in this book, he has a chapter, and Moulton Howe, I think, is one of the best people in the field. She's so dedicated to understanding this phenomenon. So these are the pioneers of our league. These are the Michael Jordans of our league, I like to say, because they really go all out. So I created this book to kind of introduce the public and many people who know this field already to the next level. How do you put all these pieces together? The government has just come out and said, there's things out there, there are what they're calling UAPs, this is unexplained aerial phenomena. They're no longer calling them UFOs, that's really 20th century. UAPs, they went from unidentified flying objects to unexplained aerial phenomena. So really the essential difference is they went from objects to phenomena. So the government is giving us a little key that these are not just visitors from another planet or whatever. This is a whole input of conscious revelation that opens us up to other possibilities. So they talk about phenomena because there's a lot of synchronicity involved. People are having healing experiences. They're having these mystical awakenings. They're seeing other realities, orbs and lights and beings. So this is a phenomena, and that's one of the reasons the government, even though they give us that clue, they have a hard time telling us what's really going on, because no one really knows what's going on here. We all have a little piece of the puzzle. That's why the book is made of different pieces, and then it's up to the reader to put it all together and make sense of something that is outside our own linear awareness, outside our programming about what reality is. if you meet these ETs, if you come face to face with them, or even see an object in the sky, it is so far beyond what we've been trained to think is possible. So we have no place to put it until we all come to a consensus reality and say, yes, there are things beyond the known that we need to make sense of in order to expand what's possible and what's possible for us as human beings, really. We are non-local beings. We are connected to the cosmos. Life is not an accident, which they tell you in science. Darwinian science says life evolved from mud puddles with a lightning bolt. But maybe life is descending from a higher realm. Maybe life is an emergent property of creation itself. That's the point of view I take in this book. So I want to bring up two really good friends of mine. We've been on the road together talking about what's possible. These are people who have dedicated their lives to making sense of other realities, of integrating a higher consciousness, and they are tireless in their efforts. So Dr. Desiree, Dr. George Hurtak, I cannot keep up with them. They are on the road for days and hours, and they're always working on books and ideas. And Dr. Hurtak, if you don't know about the Keys of Enoch, he had an amazing interdimensional experience in 1973 where he was taken to these other realms and shown the keys of a higher revelation. And he put in this book called The Keys of Enoch, Book of Knowledge. And Desiree saw him with all those lights around him when he came back to Earth. So anyway, let them talk about their investigations into UFOs and cosmology. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful very remarkable experience in 1973. This led me into association with several of the astronauts who were pioneers in space. Astronaut Cory Cooper, a man who was distinguished, who worked with President Kennedy, a man who saw a flotilla of spaceships over East Germany. What happened?
Right, so his first experience was this is astronaut Gordon Cooper, one of those first 7 that went up into space. But back in 1951, he was flying over the border of East and West Germany, and the U.S. would do that, and then the Russian rigs would do that, and they would do it next to each other, and they'd see each other every day practically and say hi. But anyway, they looked up, and there was a whole flotilla of UFOs. Now, he knew from the U.S. Air Force how high he could get anyone could get at that time, and these guys were much, much higher, 1951. So when people say to you, it's all government, it may be a lot of government now, or 2021, but in 51, it wasn't all government. So he came back, he reported it, he wrote about it. What did they do? Put him in a straitjacket? No, they made him an astronaut. That exactly tells you that the government has been covering up. And the reason that they didn't come out in June, which they should have, of 2021, even though Marco Rubio had put it into a bill to release as much as possible the government disclosure information on UFOs, I believe there's like 3 main reasons they haven't done this. The first is they've been covering it up for such a long time, from 1947, maybe even before that, because there was a lot going on in World War II with the Germans as well. So they've been covering it up for a long time. It'll be 75 years from Roswell next year, which is kind of exciting.
And you already said the government has to come clean. And said that in this book, Leap of Faith, a very rare book published in the year 2000. But in this book, he details the seriousness of the subject. Yeah, he was one of the first astronauts to pray in space. He saw technologies far beyond the capability of any civilization on Mother Earth. And he told me privately we had to get ready to meet really cosmic civilization. So we honor Gordon Cooper.
Read that part in the book with that Truman.
My memory, he's saying President Harry S. Truman, in an interview he gave to the press in 1950, April 4th, that these objects, according to President Truman, were not of this world. They were from another all-planetary civilization. I'm paraphrasing. So Gordon Cooper is one of the astronauts we work with, as Ellen mentioned.
So I also want to say the two other reasons we think they've covered up. One is we have gotten technology since the 1940s, the 47, the 50s, and the 60s. And Area 51 is real. Of course, they talk about S4, people like Dan Bursch and Bob Lazar. What they told us, as far as we know, is accurate. So we have taken some of the technology from them. We've also talked to other people that have been at Area 51. Now, the next reason is that it is so complex. It's not just one flying extraterrestrial civilization coming by. Go ahead.
Dealing with trans-dimensional intelligence that can take on any shape, form, materialized and non-materialized. I'll show you one photograph taken of me in Mexico about 20 years ago when I was in a state of meditation with the ancient Hebrew, Aramaic, and Egyptian prayers. Something light manifested around my body as I was singing. And it was just a small illustration of several experiences that Desiree and I have had. Taking the high road of recognizing there's a musical vibratory mantra component to waking up, cleaning up, moving up, and waking up. The whole human body is a vibratory instrument. Everything is vibrations. And so the ancients started to explain this to us, whether it was in Sanskrit, whatever sacred language or tradition. If you put together the vibrations properly, then the two sides of your brain, the scientific and metaphysical multidimensional, come together. Here in the West, we've been educated only on one side of the brain. So this is a big shock to the Pentagon that there are transdimensional forms of intelligence. They're now trying to school us by these marvelous signs and opportunities of showing other superluminal energies in space.
So, but it's complex because there's everything from what was seen in 2004, what they call things that look like the Tic Tacs, to beings that come through walls to communicate or in some cases abduct people. And we do believe there's a whole gamut of different intelligences. Almost all of them, to the credit of remote viewing studies, use telepathic communication. Some of them can talk and communicate, but some of them just use telepathic. Now, what's important for us to know is we have that same ability. We are really, in our cosmology, on par with a lot of the extraterrestrial intelligences in terms of souls. Now, we talked about Moulton Howe. She's amazing because she says she's researched tons and tons of reports. She's one of probably the best reporters in this field. And she said, you know, our level of soul intelligence is extremely high, and that we can stand up and communicate with all these other levels of intelligence. Yes, they have very powerful realities. They can travel. They have better technology than we do, but yet we're still like on par. And I think the most shocking thing about the different levels of intelligence out there in the trillions of stars is the fact that you will also find us. We are not unique to this planet. You will find similar species, some identical, some tall, some elongated skulls, but they are very, very similar to us. You will find also the reptilians, you will find the insectoids, you find praying mantis, you find grays, you find many other forms. You find light energy forms, but you also find us.
What is of interest in Ellen's book is that we present in our chapter the smoking gun, which means official news releases that this speaker, myself, quote unquote, presented way back in the 70s in Mexico City regarding the extraterrestrial specimens. And here in one picture, some of you are familiar with some of these photos seen in German publications, Russian publications, and more recently in American publications of extraterrestrial subjects that were sequestered by military intelligence. These were individuals that were retrieved from crashed extraterrestrial ships or technologies in Mexico and the United States. I had the opportunity to know several military officials behind the scenes who had the opportunity to retrieve the specimens and had basically a green light within our hearts to present several pictures of these specimens back in the 70s. And so to come forward now to 2021. We're close to the real story, which means we are not alone in the universe. We have brothers and sisters like ourselves, some not like ourselves, but the rubric is we all share in the laws of the universe. We all share in the music that is in the vibratory nature of human consciousness, and we share in local and non-local reality according to the best of our physicists. So we put this together in several volumes, one of which is available on our website, entitled Mind Dynamics in Space and Time, written with Dr. Elizabeth Alscher, who is authoress of more than 450 scientific papers, who worked with Russ Clark, Harold Rudolph, and other of the great minds at Stanford Research Institute. So this labor of love to get this information declassified, which is the real X-Files, to put it out in a book that could be studied by any university students throughout the world, and to push the green button again, saying we're ready to go. The future is cosmic citizens. No longer saying that we have to stay behind the scenes in fear. No longer having the mind box in our brain saying you have to think only on terms of multidimensional platitudes that don't make any sense to the real world. But we've come to a new frontier of recognizing finally East and West, North and South are coming together. This is the time of the gathering. It requires love, compassion, and honesty regarding that our evolution is what one of many that make up the tree of life.
Right, so the real question is, why is this happening now? Well, yes, there's been more and more of a push by many people to try to get the government to release this information. But one of the key things is they seem to be being seen by more and more people. And of course, this is all over the world. There's been not only strange singular lights in the sky, but there has been flotillas actually seen twice in the area of Guadalajara, for example. So 2004, same time as the minutes. If you're not familiar with that, we can do some talk about that later. But also, there was recent flotillas as well. There was flotillas over Monterey, California. There was a flotilla, that was a few years back, but this year over Guadalajara, once again, they've been seen over Lima, Peru, where the entire film crews, news networks, and you can go Google that, they're called OVNIs, O-V-N-I in Spanish. Lima, the whole news crews were going out there and seeing these lights in the sky. So, I mean, it's coming more and more. Now, the question is why? Well, as Dr. Jack said, we really are at that phase of waking up. The planetary quarantine, and has nothing to do with COVID, is being shifted. It's being released. So we will have more and more contact with the various levels of intelligence that have been watching this planet. Many have been caring for and really trying to protect the planet. Others have been trying to just get involved in the planet in different ways. So there's all these different agendas. I think that's very important. The other aspect is, in addition to what's taking place right now with COVID, there's also the situation of environmental change. And we have Chip Cummings right here, who's an expert on that. He's done a lot of work with the environment. And, you know, Glasgow, it's COP26, is coming up in the next week or so. He's actually going there. And this is a big opportunity, once again, to make a breakthrough in the environment for the planet. Because if not, there was just a volcano that went off again in Japan. There's volcanoes going off in the area of the Canary Islands, La Palma. If part of La Palma breaks off, which is the possibility, actually, there would be a huge tsunami coming towards the East Coast. I don't want to put fear in people. I'm just saying there's a lot of change going on because of the heating of the planet, and we have to be consciously aware of that. I think the extraterrestrials are. I think they protected us on many levels for many times. We've seen them over nuclear power plants in Argentina that put out bad nuclear fuels. We saw them over Fukushima as well. They are very concerned. They have actually turned off nuclear weapons in our silos, both across the north. Robert Sala just did a very big special on that. They have also turned off nuclear silos in secret bases in the UK that we jointly had with the UK government. So there's many, many things that they are here to try to help us, warn us, and in some cases, you know, they do want to misuse us. These are all different agendas that are there. But I want to say the ones that we work with and the ones that Alan and all of us have been working with are really those that are multidimensional, higher dimensional, and divine in many ways.
No, we have made a mess of this planet. It's like your mother saying to you, you're not going to have any visitors until you clean up your room. We got to clean up the mess if we really want open confrontation, contact, evolution. This is what is waiting for us as we kind of graduate from this 3D world to a whole higher dimensional reality. This is what's waiting for. We are at the threshold of a great world, a utopian possibilities that we have to rise to the occasion and say, yes, we are these divine beings ready to meet those divine essences that are waiting for us to wake up. And so we're at this turning point in history, and it's very exciting, I think. I mean, we are at the threshold of the unknown, and it's calling on something in us to come forward. Thank you, Steve. Nuclear power is not just toxic. It rips a hole in time space. When you set off a nuclear explosion, it's not just this planet that's disturbed. It's the whole local time space reality, and I think that's what alerted these beings, for the most part, coming here after 1945 and saying, my favorite line is, uh-oh, the teenagers have the car keys, we better check it out. So we have to really change who we are, and I think we're all here because we know something new is possible. And that's why I really like working with these two people, because they're so dedicated to change.
So we share with Ellen a unique, well, should we say, teamwork with known as evolutionary leaders,
Yes.
ELs. We're going to be putting out more publications, more film strips, even from the archives of the past, dealing with the actual conversations with the ETs who are on this planet. This should come out as a shock to any of you.
I just want to say one of the things we wrote about in our chapter is called Extraterrestrial and Multidimensional Realities. And we say, in addition to the extraterrestrial, there are extra celestials, which are usually beings that are kind of moved into the light body, but mostly from the local realms. And then there's what we call ultra terrestrials, which are beings that are really in the higher dimensional realms, kind of what we would call in ancient times angels or other types of higher beings. So there are all these levels, and they operate, well, one could say in other dimensions, but they also operate on like different frequencies and realities so that they can materialize. And it's not like they are having to travel. These beings don't travel from far distances to come here. They actually can just materialize because there's an entangled consciousness reality in the non-local universe. And I think it's important to also say, in addition to that, that even the extraterrestrials don't travel. I think the beginning of our chapter says, beam me up, Scotty. They're trying to figure out that many astrophysicists will say life exists in the universe, but they say they can't get here. They don't have, when Bob Lazar looked at the engine systems, it was not normal. They're using a frequency, they're using an energy force. That is really something that we have never experienced before, and we're starting to understand it now.
So breathe the light, be the light, shine the light. This is your time. This is the new chapter that's coming quickly. Yeah. Do not be scared. Do not retreat. Understand this is the time of the gathering. From the indigenous voices, we represent also from South America, to those of Asia, to those of North America, places that have been marginalized. There's a common voice. It's the inner self waking up. We are multidimensional beings, and we're being prepared to become cosmic citizens.
Yes! There's two cosmic citizens. But they're all so many different beings here on so many levels. I wanted to be someone who actually had direct contact, like many of us, but in a physical way. He's our local, I call him my favorite Martian, but he's just someone who's been so out and out about their contact. I was standing at a picnic with Jim, who was standing like in Lower Manhattan, and Mark Burdock says, they're here. I said, no, they're not here. He says, look straight up, and he was like, it was kind of midday, straight up, there were these little silver balls in the sky just hanging out, and said, what are those? He says, that's them. And he said, and it was something. So let's welcome Mark Bergerhoff, who's really, this is an amazing experience. And Mark speaks a lot, that's what he's on shows, he's an artist.
Thank you.
And tell them what
Thank
happened to you, one of your favorite stories of meeting these beings and how they interchange with you, how they connect with you in the physical.
Should I be able to read something that you transmitted me to read?
Oh, you got, sure, pre-transmitted or something. Well, that's why we're here.
Well, it's because all these years, Alan's known me for a long time. And I never have really spoken exactly where I come from. And I always felt it was totally egotistical.
It's okay.
You know, I'm feeling weird like that. So they transmitted today. And that's,
Today, for
yeah,
this event?
yeah, but I need these to read. We might be good.
So, you want
I can't see anybody.
that's okay, you have to see them.
October 20th.
This came through to me this morning.
Yeah.
While in the shower.
Well, because all these times that all the life expos and places we've been, I've never given a bio,
Okay,
and I don't have my book out there, as you know.
okay.
That's 3 of them. So I figured they sent this.
They
So
sent-
they want, this is them talking to us about me, because I can't talk about me. Okay, my Oversoul ET crew would like to introduce me and send a blessing to Alan, all light workers, everybody here, star seeds who are shining brilliant love and light here tonight. We will give a short blessing with that energy after this introduction. That's them. I have words I'm supposed to say. And this is their transmission to start. Vasu Helana, that's alien, which is hello and greetings. So they're saying here, Mark came in as a conscious ET, walking. I'm actually dressed for walking, which means he was aware of who he was from before this galaxy and was never veiled. He has never had a physical or ethereal life on Earth. I've had ethereal lives in other galaxies. He is remembers moving into the body of a baby that was going to be stillborn after the original soul left, which I saw. Mark has always been in contact with us, his oversoul reality, because he can lucidly remote view us anytime he wants. This means he can simply tune up and see what we're doing, and talk to us telepathically, and see us all through his oversoul's eyes. I live in 2 places or 3 at once sometimes. Because we work under the divine direction of the most holy Samantha, Mark can also speak with him anytime he needs to. And I get a lot of direction from these people on this side. We operate on an over. Now, this is going to Desiree and her JJ talk about. We are high universal universal beings, which we call ultra-terrestrial. So we operate on and over levels or planes of frequencies from the 44th and beyond. We manifest, work, and play physically on an 8th through 14th dimensional arcana, a gigantic light spaceship larger than Jupiter or stars. We were given permission by 3 galactic councils with Mark, his own higher self, with me, and my higher self, to walk in to assist his soulmate aspect, Phyllis, my wife, in ascension, or as we like to call it in space, transcendence. This is due to the galactic message with why, which is what I've been trying to tell people, but no one listens anymore since I was a kid. This is due to the galactic changes that we saw in space that are going to be coming to this galaxy and solar system in the future. This solar change can cause an extinction level event or an ELE pole shift. While Mark is here, he's also allowed to help curious souls looking to transcend. Details of the mission can be found on our website, intergalacticmission.com. So that was their end, and we'll transmit a blessing from all, including our friends in space. Adonai Vasu Bragas, which means blessings always in the light and love of the infinite and radiant creator.
Thank you. Wow. We'll get this people. So, thank you.
Thank you, this.
Is there an after this?
Well, if it matters, I don't know, people can't see this.
We'll pass them around.
This is me when I'm out of body where I came from to Earth. This is how I look.
And Do you remember that? Do you remember that existence?
Yes. I can remember vacations. I remember the galaxies that come from the Dingo Swan, way before it was Dingo, of course. And Phyllis, my wife. And we've come from different places. We come from a different galaxy, but we call this galaxy Valanus. And everybody here calls it the Milky Way.
Do you want to show them the thing in the back of your head that happened to you when you had your first
Was when I was 18 or something.
18? Because when you really had this transformation.
No, that was to make it clear, even more clear, because I was always hearing information, getting information for friends, and people might ask a question, I'd hear information. Like, I can't say this now, but in the 6th grade, the teacher said he was going to put things on the solar system. So he says, just for fun, what's the distance between, let's say, Earth and the sun, or moon and the sun, or something? And I heard the numbers go by in my head. So for fun, I raised my hand and I said the numbers I heard, and he went, "That's correct." He said, "How do you know that?" I said, "I just heard it." But in space, you know, like where we come from, we know many things go out there, out of body. We know a lot. But when you're here as a little kid, you might be shielded with certain things.
So you had a moment of transformation where you realized who you were.
Well, I always knew I was not from here, just like you felt.
I did feel that.
People, you're all feeling similar things. You're all from other places, from other galaxies. You're all, no one on planet Earth is not an Earth, and we're all from places. But many of you might have felt you just don't belong here. The stars were more home than here.
That's what I felt. Yeah.
And as a kid, I was like that constantly. And like you, in the 5th grade, I told the teacher, I want to be an astronaut. And then I heard, oh my goodness, I don't know mathematics.
Mother feels that way.
But I'm not good with math on this planet, but out there, fine. So I came in with the art.
Yes, his art is really fabulous to see. He draws these interdimensional beings. Is there any, do you have any, do you want to pass those around?
If you know.
Pass them around because,
So if you meet me out of body, I'm about 8 feet, 9 feet tall, depending on where you are on the frequency. As JJ and Desiree, you know what I'm saying. On different frequencies, in different places in higher realms, you could be 20 feet to 100 feet tall and more. It depends on the frequency where we are. And we say frequency because it's speed of the structures that we are made of.
I think that really what we're learning is that it's all frequency, it's all energy, it's all sound, it's all vibration. And we, as a planetary civilization, are raising our frequencies to a new level of existence.
Yes, and it's all about what you're teaching and what Desiree is teaching.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I heard them speak this tonight for the first time. And I was like, yep.
And we've been on panels together then.
Right.
Yeah.
Because this is
What? Okay. No, we could pass them around so people could see them.
okay. This is Samantha, known in the higher realms as the, well, person in charge, right? Some people say, oh, he's evil, he's an alien. No, he's not. He's actually creative. This is Phyllis and I out of body when we're out on the ships, and we share.
Oh, yeah, I recognize you.
And you have very color hair, and this didn't tell you many color, I do on that. It just is your, like, there, you all spoke of, anything you think becomes your reality on the planet. If you like being a cat person, you'll look like a cat person.
Okay, I have to think about that.
Planets eventually will happy with it. This is my favorite one to show you guys, because now people have wrong and false information that's going on in the internet right now. The interruption of the space voice coming through the televisions of 1977 in England, the southern.
Alan Andrews has a recording of a voice coming through his television set.
And he might be one of the only ones, because I went to England in 78 to talk with the people who had the experiences. I have the newspaper clippings from 77, and it says, and I will speak for my friend, because this is Astron. This is what he looks like. He's about 12 and change feet tall. And he talked to me, he's a part of my crew, he's in charge. So he's like a big brother. So Astron contacted me a week before the event occurred. He said, we're going to try something to get a message through to see if it works. There's going to be a relay. Because they're on high frequency.
We knew something was coming through. This is true. It wasn't an interrupted broadcast on on the British television.
And so, I forgot the date, September 22nd, or something like that.
It's in the book, there's a little.
September
In
26th.
22nd, thanks.
the second chapter of this book.
Next day, that's why I kept remembering.
Actually, I recorded in Mexico City. That's
Yeah,
not
it is a copy on the internet. There is out there.
There's actually a song by the Carpenters that who took the message that came through his television and they made a song out of it. So I'll play that one. All occupants of interplanetary craft. It's a great Carpenter song. Not that I have
It's a TV show where they sang it on the stage, and they had a beautiful UFO coming in over and over, and it was a visual, but it was great.
Yes.
So Astron contacted me on my way to a UFO meeting in Katona, Yorktown, New York. And I had to pull off the road. First, what they did is they flashed my car lights 3 times, on and off. And you can't do that with that old Charger I had. You'd have to pull it and do that too. So the lights flashed 3 times, that's unmessage. So I pulled over and looked up at the pitch black sky, middle of no country road, said yes. And they said, we just want to say something. So I said, yeah, back in the car. And I sat there, and his voice filled the car. He says, hi, it's me, Astron. You know me on the ship. So I said, oh, yeah, okay. But meanwhile, I heard the voice, I looked in the mirror like someone's in the back seat. And I said, okay, what's up? What are we doing? And he says, well, just want to give you a message. First, write down my name. It's spelled Astron. So I had my art pen stuff with me, so I wrote it. He says, tell your friends we're going tonight to write down the name, because we're going to try something in about a week or so to see if transmission could come through as a relay. So
You got that before the
a
broadcast.
week and 8 or 9 days before. It was Wednesday night. So I wrote down, by the time I got to the place I was going, I was late because I was sitting in the car, And his final words are, okay, see you later on the ship, and now by
And you do go to the ships occasionally at night. Phyllis does, but she's shy. She doesn't go to the ships all the time.
Well, I'll be out there, and I'll say, well, you were with me, but sometimes she remembers, and remembers us, and me, and she met Alpha on the ship.
Do you remember Phyllis?
So Astron, okay, so we get to that point. We get to the UFO message, I give it to the people, and a week goes by, and I'm like, because I go out skywatching at 3 a.m. in the morning to whatever time it would be, and have things happening in the fields. And my friend calls me, and she says, did you see today's newspaper? I said, no, I'm not. She goes, go get it. So I got it, and a few newspapers, and there in the newspaper, it says, this is the voice of Astron. That's the true voice. And it spells ASTR. So she says to us, Mark, we would have thought this was a joke until you made us write his name down a week or so before. These are your guys. I said, yes. And he said they were going to try a relay. Well, the relay went from their high frequency to the Ashtar people that we all know, and with the alliance groups around these solar system here. So Ashtar people are the ones who also relayed it through.
To the British Broadcasting Network, chapter 2 in the book, you can read it in Brian Cameron's chapter, that message, that Colin Andrews, who created the name crop circles for these formations in England, heard and recorded it just by accident. He recorded it. He had a new tape recorder, he turned on, the television was playing in the background, just when this broadcast came through.
A lot of people never got all full of the recording. A lot of people saw pieces of it in different places. And the people I talked with who actually met with the witnesses all said the name they heard was Astron. This is Astron. And I physically.
Who is Ashtar?
He's a commander in the, what they call the Ashtar Galactic Command.
Who does his hair?
Is that the thing? You have this brush back look, right? Well, he comes in different shades of color, from pale skin to tannish gold and bronze.
It's worth being part of the Ashtar Command for that reason.
Even though this is a black and white drawing, I can have any color hair I want, but the skin tone I usually have is gold and bronze and like that. So that's our crew. And sometimes a copper tone to it.
Well, is that it? Or is that, you good?
You want me to ask that?
Oh, but do you have anything else to share? Oh, the blessing. Okay, no, go ahead. No, the blessing.
I was going to tell you the story about Dolphin.
Oh, you got the download? Well, can we do, I mean, we have some other people who want to come up and speak. Do we agree to, what? The blessing. Yes, please do.
This is from space. Super. These blessings always enlighten, love, and create. And these are the other blessing words they have in space. Nisana Kishima Kudina Kana, it's healing. Om Sabasumana. And Om Satyam Siddhana. Thank you. Last one. Open doors.
I could see the one that shifted.
I wasn't going to say the last one, but they told me to. Om Sate, Om Siva, Kane Katana. On the other dimension, Guru opens the doors to the ships in the Rohan if they're fulfilling and where you want to get into one. So they also said it's a portal of opening of energy. And it's only the first time I didn't use my first time they're letting me say this because they told me to hold back from that for 20 years. So now it's time. That's the other thing.
What's the other?
With the changes of the planet, what's happening? What is going on? And we saw from space, and I've seen since I was a kid, out of body in space as my father self. And I was telling my father about the blue energy field I saw out there, but on this frequency it might be a different color. But it's an energy field we were heading towards with our galaxy. And when we hit that, that's when the energy is going to speed up in frequency.
Well, that's what's happening now.
The solar system is changing. Our planets are going through things. Our Earth's magnetic sphere is weakening. And that's like we're when the solar energy is going on. So we have to think high, praise Creator, always praise Creator, and get your energy level frequency higher. Get that energy glowing golden white.
I think we need to be around people. We need to hug and, be connected and come back to, we can't be separated. They're here. We're here.
The Alliance crews are working all around the solar system to protect it from these other kinds of weapons. Yeah, forever. The thing is, we have to get our frequencies raised up.
Well, that's what we just did here.
And that's what you have to focus on.
Thank you, Mark.
I love you.
Okay, thank you. Levels of experience, and people have these really intense actual physical things, that people have these informates and dreamscapes and or other alternate states of reality. So there's depending on where you're functioning, that's how they come to you. So demonstrate, one of my best friends here in New York City, the podcast Queen, have a secret break, and one half of the Paris sisters. So yeah, she was interviewing me on the podcast, and she said, that you never had told this experience before, but now's your chance. So what happened to you?
First of all, I just want to say thank you, Alan, for writing that book. My name is Rosana Perez. I'm one of the Perez sisters. My sister and I produce a podcast now in its 10th year. And we also have a metaphysical boutique called Botanical in Brooklyn. And the reason I say that and how that comes together into this beautiful gathering of like-minded, multi-dimensional souls is that we not only have our own beautiful experiences, but we get to witness other people's experiences, everything that they dare to speak of. And we, in that little shop, experience so much magic. One of the messages that is at the core of my heart to share with all of you is that echoing that we all receive these blessings and these gifts in different ways, and that some people are having these physical experiences and they're having these memories of being on ships, and other people are there and being called to be in service of the present moment. In the present moment, we can see that there's a lot happening with our human family. And from this perspective, this underground perspective, I can tell you that the messages that I receive focus on all of us coming together as a human family and tapping and tuning into compassion and love. And as Mark has been repeating, that frequency and elevating that frequency. Want to briefly share, because I don't want to take too much time, that I have been having my dreams of being picked up in all these different types of crafts since I was a little kid. And this is before I even had some of like images imprinted into my mind from things that you see, otherworldly things that you see on television. In my dreams, I am also aware of when I get picked up by what feel like benevolent space brothers, and when I get picked up by government agents, when they want to check me out. I've seen myself escaping things, but none of this became crystallized until December 2019, when I was walking in the streets of Brooklyn on an evening, and something compelled me to just take a deep breath. I looked up at the sky and I saw my first sighting. It wasn't an orb, it wasn't lights in the sky as I have seen previously. It was unsure. I actually saw a ship, a huge ship. The lights were not on, and in typical fashion, people were asking me afterwards, wait, you were in Brooklyn and you mean to tell me that other people didn't see this? I was like, yeah, I happened to be in that one block in Brooklyn where it was extremely dark, the light posts were not on, and when I saw what I was seeing, when the closest people next to me were blocks away. So I find that very interesting when we feel like we're gonna have that moment to reach and take a picture. I realized that I needed to experience that for myself. And as to what I saw, it felt like it was very ancient. It looked really huge from my vantage point, maybe the width, the length of maybe 3 airplanes. It seemed like, I could be wrong, and it looked like it was like a little flying cone with like an upside down W in the middle. It was really, really interesting. It was very quiet. It was like a brownish color again. It was kind of approaching evening. But the overwhelming feeling of witnessing that was that I was staring at something ancient. And so one of my messages as I wrap out tonight and pass this microphone back to Alan is that we are all tuning in and tapping in and getting things, whether it's dream time, whether it's that we get this feeling, whether it's an ancestor or being speaking to us. Sometimes we get so lost in who the messenger is, but I think that if you start listening to the messages that we're hearing here tonight, the message too that you need to also tap into is the frequency. How is your heart? How is your heart? We've been through some hard times. A lot of us are still grieving. This is the first time that I've been in an outing like this. So I just want to say thank you, because it feels so enriching to my soul. Do not discount the value of who you are, where you are, and how you are serving just by being where you are right now, because that's so important to be present. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you. I'm very grateful to all of you, and thank you, Alan.
Thank you for saying that, because I think we need some encouragement in these times, and not just these beings that are coming, because they are coming, they are here. People are having all levels of experience, like from Mark to Rose Angel, to just my dream, and to JJ and Desiree. They've had really, JJ was in South America at this very famous Brazilian case where we saw the beings. So there's many levels talking about this phenomenon, but the thing is, we have to just keep an open mind to what's possible and go beyond this old paradigm that has kept us very locked into destroying our planet and keeping us from awakening in this level of contact. So I'm just laying out all these different ways that people tap into these other realities. I want to bring up a good friend now who was kind of an ordinary guy. He was on Wall Street. He was had this strange trip to South America, and his life completely changed. Here he is. Go ahead. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Igor Lalba, yes, so. You were kind of a regular person out there, like most of those people.
Yes, I was a regular person. But now I need the world go round.
So you have to more the microphone, please.
Oh, okay. Good. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So I believe I was a regular person. I believe that the dollar made the world go round. And that was reality, you know, we're living every day. And there was an event that happened in the family, and I had to go to South America. As I arrived to South America, it was a very interesting experience where we came to see a healer, and I didn't go there for me, I went there for my family member. And the following day, I came up to that healer, something just called me, and he looked at me and said, "Your heart is closed, do you want me to open it?" I'm thinking, okay. What it happened? Okay, all kinds of weird things happen in this world. And he did something, and the following day, I woke up and I just started to feel things. Tingling sensations in my hands, and I did not understand what was happening. And being in a third country, I come outside 6 in the morning, thinking, okay, I'm going to get my cup of coffee, and there's a cow standing there. And as I'm walking by, I see the internal organs of the cow. I'm like, okay, something is not. And intimately, standing about 10 feet away from it, I reached my hands and I was feeling the heart of the cow. I was like, okay, this is really strange. This is really weird. So the whole day goes by, I'm feeling and sensing things, but not understanding what's really happening to me. The following day, as I was there, they decided to close the place up, and they told everybody to leave the healing grounds. As we were leaving the healing grounds, I look up, and there's 3 huge spaceships just hovering above it, and everybody had to kind of leave. As this is the first time that I saw something like this. This was amazing. This was like, whoa, what is this? What happened to Wall Street? And my life kind of changed. After I came back home, I was not able to communicate with people because I became so sensitive to energy. I started to feel what's going on in every single person. And I locked myself up in a room for about a month, and I disconnected from the whole physical reality and spent about 3 years in meditation. And during that time period, traveled and connected with different beings, understanding their realities and how they live and how they perceive the world. And they started to teach me about energy bodies. As I started to understand the energy bodies, I started to understand that we are not physical, we're just energy, yes? So if we understand that we're energy, we have to start thinking like energy. Our physiological mind does not align with the higher mind process and does not align with the extraterrestrial beings because they choose what thought they want to have. That is the highest vibration that they're at. So can we choose the thoughts that we want to have? This is the time where some people were talking about it. I've seen them and nobody else seen them. It's because they can choose the frequency to show themselves to. And that is the level that they're vibrating on. So we as humans have to elevate to the belief system of the higher beings. And these celestial beings are just beautifully existing without the push and the pull. Just like the great universe moves and creates naturally, we have to come into that understanding that everything is just a flow. And we have to understand that everything is working towards us in our benefit, even what's happening in this world, because we collectively have learned to go through change through chaos. If we have chosen to recognize the changes effortlessly, then this whole world would go through that as well. So after that, I started to do channelings, one-on-one sessions, helping people out with aligning their energy bodies and connecting to their ET families. And during this time period, I had 3 daughters, and my daughters connect to these energies whenever they choose. So my oldest daughter is about 14 right now, and she's walking into school 2 weeks ago, and she started saying that I started to see colors right in front of me. And instantly, right away, she's like, these
this is my aura. She's like, it would be cool if I could see other people's aura field. Instantaneously, while she was in school, she started to see the other people's aura field. So we're talking about the change that is happening genetically in our DNA, naturally in this world. It's an evolutionary process. We're moving, and these children that are coming through right now, they are already at that level. And if we can hold that space for them, then they will definitely have the contact with their brothers and sisters that are living in other dimensions. Because once we start to perceive that in a different way, our world and our environment, we're jumping timelines, literally jumping timelines to realities where we are coexisting with them at the same time. And this, I think, is one of the reasons is because we're not taking up charge of our own lives. We're not taking charge of our own selves. Our energy feels, understanding that beautiful flow, because energy speaks in its own flow. And once we understand that, its own logic, then we right away jump to that timeline where everything exists at the same time. So these were many other experiences where I've seen these spaceships in Oaxaca, recently been there, experienced spaceships literally just come stop, and I had a beam of light coming to my whole left side of my body, went through a transformation of my feminine side as well. So this was very powerful for me. And the last time that I've seen a spaceship was in Coronado, California, right before the COVID began. So we were I was laying with my girlfriend on the rooftop, and we were just watching the stars, and maybe about 150 feet away from us, a huge triangular object just starts to float very peacefully, very quietly. And she grabbed me, she says, "Igor, did you see this?" I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Do not tell me what you saw. I'm going to draw what I saw, and you draw what you saw, so we don't create ideas to each other." As we did that, I noticed that this is the same ship that's been guiding me from the time of my awakening. It's the same beings. And why do we connect? And why do they work with us? Is because we're sharing the same soul consciousness. They want us to recognize this, obviously. They want us to be with us and interact with us, because this happened in many timelines and many dimensions where we are just sitting just like this. And each one of us has our own guides, and they are guides as well. So if we learn how to just come into that peaceful state and allow that alignment, we are one with them and they are with us. So there are many other things that I could share, but thank you, Alan. And one more thing I want to share. The Hurtaks, I am blessed to have met them about 4 years ago. About 2-3 months into my awakening, I was given the book of
Keys of Enoch.
Keys of Enoch. I did not sleep for 3 days just touching that book. I had downloads of information. Until this day, I haven't read it because it's so complex, I don't understand it. But I had so much information of downloads that my body was jiggling. In the showers, I would have all these names come through. And at different moments, and people are like, "Igor, are you here?" I'm like, "Yes, but I'm not." I'm just receiving this, like my crown was exploding, my physical body was jittering with all that information that was given to this world through you. And I'm grateful and thankful for you guys. And thank you for everybody who's putting this information out there and sharing their consciousness, their collective with the world. And Alan, thank you so much for your beautiful book. And
this is happening to so many people like Igor. They have a normal life and then they wake up and they can't go back to where things were. Actually, none of us are going back to where things were because it's not there anymore. There's no there. We're moving into the future and we're moving into the unknown, and it's about experiencing ourselves as energy. And two of my favorite people that really demonstrate. So we've heard a lot of talking, but I want to show you a little demonstration with two people who are masters of moving energy and showing that our bodies are energy. And Edwards and Marie Rilke come up because this is their work. They travel the world, they go around, they demonstrate how we are not physical. We think we're physical, but we're really electromagnetic fields that are full of energy. Now, because this is me and Ed.
Yeah. Hello, how y'all doing? As you can hear, I'm not from here. Lee and from. And the phenomenal thing is, me and her met in this room 3 years ago. I'm from Georgia, she's from up here. He invited us both here, we didn't know each other.
Right, this was over 3 years ago, we met over here, and here we are.
I'm an energy match.
But ironically, that day, actually, somebody was taking me out, come see this UFO, then it was UFOs. And come see, so it's just, everything just comes around, nothing is a coincidence, it's just being open, but also not allowing the mind to go into a story and become fanatic about it. Oh, look what happened with this. That's the piece that we get caught up on this lower vibration, on the emotional vibration. I mean, my background is in mental health. So I've been, over 25 years, I've been working with all different people, all different spectrum diagnoses, schizophrenics, all the way to, you know, enlightened beings, you know. So I really feel like I really got a handle on consciousness. And I've always been kind of moving and seeing that there's something more, something more. I've always had this awareness since a little girl, and at the age of 2. And these ETs would come into my dream, you know, into my dream state, you know, very, very vivid, very, very lucid. And it actually runs in my family because 2 of my brothers have also. I mean, they're not open to it, but it still comes, you know. So what Ed and I are doing, when we met here, we
and then do jump.
We will do it.
Okay, quick little brief on us here. Yeah, we're going to do a demo with energy where we'll have all of you stand up and we'll present energy without us doing anything that you will all feel. We're currently under study at the University of Virginia, Division of Perceptual Studies and Integrated Medicine, the Monroe Institute, Copperwall Array Lab, and the Ryan Research Center, the Bioenergy Biophoton Lab with John Cruz, Bill Jones. Originally started there in 2008 with Dr. Steve Bowman. Before that, I got hooked up with Dr. William C. Levingood, famous crop circle researcher. He learned about me in 1994. I was able to go up there to his lab in Michigan and present measurable energy, and I've been under clinical studies now for 27 years. Okay, so we use this energy to take pain out of people. It's called Bio-Intrinsic Resonant Energy. It's a thing that Dr. Levingood and Dr. Plyler and a couple others have coined up to describe us and separate us differently from the rest of the crowd. So let's give you a quick little.
So fire is basically all the levels of consciousness are functioning at the same time. So my endeavor from where I come from is to really bring, because there are so many people that are in fears and in division, and we need to kind of tune into these people so that we could all be prepped and ready. So this is a way of like getting your emotions, your lower vibrations to actually be released. Know that there's an access to something more. And so this way, as a humanity and as a whole, we can have contact.
So right now, me and Leafy are going to go ahead and give you a quick little demonstration, then we can give you a little history on it or something, if you're interested. Okay, so without any power of suggestion or anything like that, in lead right now, our minds are linking up. I mean, we're under EEG studies down there, and they find that we crank this energy up, the bioenergy, our brains are operating simultaneously on all levels of consciousness between alpha and theta frequencies. Each part of the head's operating under a different frequency simultaneously. Okay? Y'all just see what you feel. Here, hold this for me. I always like it without power suggestion. I've been doing this since I was 3 years old.
What is it that you're doing?
I didn't know what it was when I was growing up. I had a lot of fun in church and in school with it. But now we call it the Bio-Energy, Bio-Intrinsic Resonant Energy. Finally, these brains kind of chit-chatting back and forth. Okay, we're going to give you a little gentle push backwards. So we're holding a straight DC positive field. Okay, now we'll go neutral. We'll reverse that field. You see, we're connecting our brains since they're operating simultaneously at all levels, and we're pulling forwards on you. So our brains is connecting with what's known as the Higgs field. That's what the scientists that study us believe is what we're capable of doing. Because what we're doing right now, we can affect instrumentation inside a Faraday cage at UVA, Monroe Institute, and the Ryan Research Center all at the same time. I can take this energy, and he works with me on it, and run it through people's feet that's got neuropathy. I make the neuropathy clear up in about 5 minutes with it in most people. Work with stroke patients, making their paralyzed limbs come back to life. These are things everybody could be doing. All of you could be doing this. Okay, we're just kicking the energy, controlling the electrical fields back and forth. Just letting y'all experience it. I know everybody don't sleep good tonight. I am. I drove all the way up here from Georgia. I was in Clayton, Georgia this time last night.
And it's also a way of actually tuning in so that the heart and the mind become synchronized. You know, emptying out this energy that becomes this higher awareness is not an energy about the past. It's not about history. It's about flow. It's about movement. It's about creativity. It's about aligning ourselves over here and over there, forming the form. So it's about now learning how to source. Once you get into this awareness and access this level, and meet, as I mean, we do groups, and we have amazing responses. I mean, we're in stillness where everyone, there's so much information that gets exchanged, and it's just transparent. It's no like judging, no expectation. It's no, you know. And over there, we just kind of meet. And the more we kind of go to that state and go into this wholeness, the more we see each other as energy fields. And we just kind of mean it that way. We flow, you know? It's just like, hey.
So let's pull them as we flow.
What are you doing now?
We're creating a DC negative field and just pulling y'all forwards, pulling you inward. And we come in from Northeast Georgia Mountain. My grandma was a hands-on Christian healer there of the Cherokee lineage. So I've got an ancestry of the Katuwa, Rananugigagi. If any of you are familiar with that. Okay, that's pretty good. That's a quick little demo. Now, this is just This is just me and Leahy in a nutshell. To really learn the truth about us, my producer is Maxie Cohen over here. She's doing a documentary movie about me.
Hey, Maxie.
Maxie, come up here and say howdy.
Hey.
Maxie's birthday today. Maxie's an old friend. She's a filmmaker and a big part of our community.
Yeah, Maxie's been working on a movie on me for 3 years, and started just before I met Leahy, and now pulled Leahy into it, so she's gonna be finishing up. And did any of y'all ever watch that TV show Ancient Aliens? Yeah. Did you ever see that episode, The Alien Brain?
You were in it.
Oh my God. Okay, it's season 14, episode 16. That's me in there.
I remember.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much. And they also do private sessions and demonstrations. They'll be hanging around. And they are. You can say we're almost finished here. We're just going to do a little closing act and meditation, but you can making me nervous. So just I think they come. So yeah, and then we'll do a little meditation, and then we'll schmooze, and I'll sign books, of course. So if you want to do that, but I wanted to bring Henrietta back because you didn't say everything you wanted to say before.
Thanks to everyone for sharing their experiences tonight. It's really interesting. And actually, just to say, Igor, who I met years ago, sitting next to him, right at the beginning when we sat down, he said to me, "Oh, you've got this thing going on right here, you know, all in your ear and down here." And I just shifted a bit. I'm having ear infection. So anyway, he's for real, just in case. Yes, it's always good because I've been a huge skeptic of these things in my life, so it's always nice to have confirmations. But so I just wanted to say a few final words about the book, because that's what I wanted to talk about mainly. No, just to say that, I think it's a different book in a field, and I did say a little bit about that at the beginning, but that I think it makes the subject available to the great skeptical masses in a way that perhaps it hasn't been before, and that to me is very exciting and kind of fits in with the theme of the night of all the speakers talking about, what would be considered where I come from, really far out stuff, where you go like, really? So I just think that sort of Alan's managed to bring this into a kind of more mainstream awareness, which is what I'm really interested in, and why I really wanted to participate. And I think we've done a beautiful job. And today, when I was sitting with him earlier, we heard that the publisher has been asked for the rights to a big Spanish-speaking publisher.
That's right. They just
open up the book, much further, and
Well, they're much more open than some of these other South American Latin countries, because they don't have this idea that what should be allowed and not allowed. So
so that's an exciting bit of news, and I think it opens the doors of perception. No, but the doors, many doors, and we're excited about the doors that it's opening.
I love your voice. So can you just, this is on the front cover, inside cover. Can you just read this to introduce?
Yes, to introduce the book to the audience, those of you that don't have it.
It's like inside.
Actually, I love this, because the publisher decided to do this, which was really nice, because usually books are quite, these days boring when you open them on the front. But it's this nice little, okay. So I haven't got my glasses, but it's okay. I'll do this. Take a peek into forever, where the spirit of adventure can transcend the boundaries of belief and reveal the unknown. And then on the next page, it awaits your discovery. So, and Alan's writing another book. I just want to say that. Don't want to say that. He just doesn't like to be in the limelight.
No, I like the one.
But the limelight is instead of you being an interviewer and everything that you are, he's actually writing another book, which really excites me because it's on this topic.
Yes.
But he sets it in a very interesting historical context that I think that nobody has done before. The mystical, magical, and the world of art.
Yes.
So,
Presentation, but maybe we should do a special song that my friend Mr. Cheese wrote about. See just what he said? Oh, did someone take off with one of the interdimensional beings here? If anyone has it, Nick? Okay, does anyone have that other picture? Come on. Which one is it? Ashtar is the one with the hair. Oh, I may have So Cheese here is a good friend of mine. He wrote a theme song for my television show called New Realities, and he wrote a little song. It took him about 6 months to write the song, and then after that, and then we'll do a little meditation. But this is I don't want to do this after the meditation because it gets people riled up. But Mr. Cheese.
Remember when those were legalized? Remember we could just have people? First of all, I just want to thank everybody for being here. It was absolutely incredible tonight.
Too loud.
And get over this way. Cheese.
Right there. All right, excellent. All right, so, no, this song. So, me and Alan were talking about this, and I was moved to tears when he asked me to write the song.
I haven't heard it.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. We put a lot of effort into it. So, just before we start, just if we could have a quick prayer for us. Thank you, Mother, Father God, one infinite Creator, for bringing us all together. Thank you for the light and love and abundance that we've received. And thank you for our ability to usher in the new age of awareness. It's been a crazy couple of years, hasn't it? We're lucky that we can let us decide together. Well, great enough, they're not. I just want my whole family to know we're the new normal. They said it was impossible, then it was improbable. Now it's so unstoppable, I'm busting out the hospital, screaming out, I told you so. They covered up the UFOs, the government is scared and dumb. Where the hell they coming from? Wait, the best is yet to come. Gasoline is made of love, mothership of consciousness. We knew that it was obvious, so bring your military tanks, drones, and guns. Nothing stronger than an idea whose time has come. We're making contact inside of our soul. We're making contact on a UFO. We're making contact. ET phone home. We're making contact. We were never alone. We're making contact inside of our soul. We're making contact on a UFO. We're making contact. ET phone home. We're making contact. We were never alone. We're dropping all the politics, because look where it has gotten us. Millennia of poverty. Riches, lies, and honesty, slavery and sovereignty, racism, equality, duality is challenging. We're salvaging humanity. The charlatans are marching in with armies of Andromedans, interdimensional, meta-terrestrial, ultra-celestial, extraterrestrials, sitting right next to you, creating a spectacle, leaving crop circles up in our vegetables and taking sperm samples out of your testicles. Festivals of aliens, we're calling them cousins. And the planet will be scared of, but we already love them. We're making contact inside of our soul. We're making contact on a UFO. We're making contact. ET phone home. We're making contact. We were never alone. We're making contact inside of our soul. We're making contact on a UFO. We're making contact. ET phone home. We're making contact. We were never alone. Genetics are incredible. The melanin with genitals together. Did I mention that your energy is edible? Incredible. Now listen to me quickly. It's a symphony in heaven and it's getting pretty trippy. Energies and entities that come from different densities. Our destiny is heavenly. They send it to me mentally in telepathic crafts. That's defying the light. Inside the lights can track us with a tracking device. Technology that's gotta be a billion years ahead of us. Gotta be ontology and sitting on the precipice of history. You kidding me? We're in a mix with Trinity. Television's evidence, military intelligence. Silly CNN is still irrelevant, but telling us the Pentagon's calling the UAPs. Fucking hexagons flying at unknown speeds, disappearing, reappearing here in different dimensions. We're revealing all the hidden agendas, making contact inside of our soul. We're making contact on the UFO. We're making contact. ET5. We're making contact. We will never know wrong. We're making contact inside of our soul. We're making contact on the UFO. We're making contact. ET5. We're making contact. We will never know wrong. Yeah. One more thing, guys. One more thing. I want to do this in front of you guys because we're always talking, and honestly, the love that we share is the only thing that keeps us together. And I want to declare this before everything in the universe. Yeah. Oh, wow. Adina, none of this is possible without you. And before everybody in this room, will you marry me? Whoa!
Return to Jerry Springer, but it's thank you guys, thank you Cheese for the song. So just to cap it off, that never happened on my show before. So I'm gonna do this every week. Just to kind of tackle all, I don't know how we can go beyond that, but we're gonna do a little meditation just to bring everything that we've experienced and heard and felt and take us to a next vibration, next level of awakening. So we're going to call it like the friends JJ and Desiree, because we're going to really drop in as they move through time and space in this new era of awakening. Those beings are here. They're waiting for us to call home, to call out, like they say in the great Hebrew prayer, Shema, oh hear me. And so the Shema, what do you call them?
Shema b'nei or.
We
hear the cry of the brothers and sisters of light as we encircle Mother Earth.
Just close your eyes for a second, sit there. Close your eyes, drop into your body. We're calling them in now. We're calling those beings to be present with us. The B'nai, the great brotherhood, the great beings that are here to move us to the next level of awakening.
And we feel the great archangelic angel Metatron. We feel the cool breeze across our face, and we see above our heads a white dove encircling us, the sign of peace and brotherhood, sisterhood. As the white dove takes off from New York City in the Golden Arch across the world, we touch upon the great Tetons, North America, and then we go across into the great islands of Hawaii and the Pacific. We see the kahunas and dance and celebration. And the white dove takes us above Mount Fuji in Japan, where we see the ancient priests and traditions come alive once again. And from there, the white dove takes us across the ocean to China, in the mountains of Tibet, Sikkim and Bhutan, on Kailash. Where the Divine Mother is seen, we are told even by Patrick Keredama, the great spiritual thinker and teacher. in the form of a plant. And the white dove takes off across the deserts of the Middle East, on top of Mount Sinai. We feel the pillar of light and the Shema that we shall hear now, the language of light. The sacred symbols of a prism of golden colors of all colors coming together. The code of Joseph is put on each of us in the Shema. Oh, Israel is a spiritual Israel, all people and nations coming together in celebration and dance.
Let us join that with the Divine Mother, who is really the mothering element of all life throughout the universe. And so as we expand our consciousness to see life as abundant and to see that we are really never alone, whether it be our spiritual guides or those beings that are been the watchers of planet Earth, all are part of a greater family of light, a family of love, a family of understanding. And so let us use an expression, we'll use the Kuan Yin. This is the mother of compassion that has thousands of arms that can reach out to everyone wherever she is needed. So I'm going to ask my husband to sing Kuan Yin. And please join in.
As we place the energy field around our body of the multicolors, we feel the Divine Mother quickening within us the sense of compassion, long overdue, as we reach around the world, seeing the children holding hands in a dance, Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin.
So just feel that presence. We've called the name and the phone of the divine family, but reach your hands up. Reach your hands up to the sky as we make contact with those beings that are reaching down towards us. Open up the crown chakra and the 8th above our head, and the 9th at the ceiling, and the 10th to the heavens, and the 11th to the stars, and the 12th to the central sun. Open up those levels and call them in as we reach up, as they reach down towards us, as the act of making contact. And we call out, Shema B'nai, heal us, O great galactic beings. Shema B'nai.
Shema B'nai. 4 times. Shema B'nai. Shema B'nai. Shema
Feel that galactic presence coming into you as you lower your hands, the rest in front of you, as your crown is infused with the higher galactic frequencies. We become the galactic brother and sisterhood, the family of light, the great beings that we've been waiting for. We have arrived.
Sources, all sources, O light of all lights, O love of all loves, we've come together in prayer and praise to feel the grace and the gratitude and the glory from on high. As Carlos Santana has intoned the global tone, let us keep up this global tone to raise consciousness, all brothers and sisters, may be as one in the great work of ascension. The cosmic frontier is here, and we are pledged to its success. The divine spark is alive, and we feel it tingling within us. And we put on Joseph's coat in many colors for all nations, all peoples, as the tribes are gathered. The gathering has begun.
And we are all part of that universal mind. There is no limitation to who we are. We are interconnected, not only with each other, but with the cosmic forces of light.
And the symbology is all around us. We just witnessed an engagement. This is our engagement to the great galactic family. We are engaged. We are going to be united with those great forces in this day and time. We awaken to the great possibilities in this union. So blessings to everybody. Take this energy in and take it home and spread it out to your families and those that aren't your families, the loved and the unloved. Spread it around the world because this is our time of planetary awakening, of galactic awakening, of making contact with who we really are. This is the real message of the book, is our awakening to the greater existence.
Bravo. Thank you. For the north, the south, the east, and the west, let's say the four amens. Amen, 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 and
Thank you all for being here. There's been books and gathering and hearings and all the different places to be everyone. And this is really a magical little launch. Now we know the point of launch because we're just launched. Thank you, Joe. Is one of the most generous, heartfelt people in this house. Thank you, everyone from Mexico. Thank you, everybody. We'll be doing the expo this weekend. Thank you. I love the expo.
He went to all over the place.
I read it twice in the 80s. Yeah. happen anymore. It disappeared. It's an amazing book.